Hey everyone, this is Carl again. I just want to give you a brief overview and kind of walk you through week four's problems 4 and 7. I combined them this time to kind of show you in kind of a linear example what was going on in terms of the scatter plot, analyzing the data associated with the scatter plot, and trying to figure out what the R squared is. What is that? How does this help us further interpret our data aside from visually interpreting our data with the use of the scatter plot? So what I have here is best place to live rank. It's kind of like a survey. It's a qualitative survey. What does that mean? It is a survey that just asks for an opinion, rate from 1 to 10, so these are just kind of a population survey, best places to live, then there's a rank 1 through 10, and the cost of living associated with each place, be it city. We'll do cities. Um, so what we're going to check to see if there is a linear relationship between these two variables. And what does a linear relationship mean? It means that these two uh, variables are tied together and are linked in some way. Either, for instance, if it's a positive relationship, a positive linear relationship rather, if you go further up from 10 to 1 in rank, you go further up in cost of living. That's a positive linear relationship. Conversely, if a negative linear relationship would mean that as you go up to the first rank, you actually go down in cost of living. So it's kind of a counterintuitive thing. It's not, in this case, in this example with this data, you could guess just a real world example that that's probably not the case. But we're going to do our investigation. So I'm going to create our scatter plot right here. We're going to do our, we always do, and then we're going to create a scatter plot. And you can see right off the bat, there's a little bit of a linear pattern this way. What does that mean? That means that there's possibly a negative slope, just like what we talked about. But we're going to check to make sure that we can just calculate it. And actually, with our as the book uses technology, we're going to use technology to create a trend line. So we'll select our chart, and we're going to go here, and we're going to add a trend line. We want our trend line linear, just like what we've been talking about. And as you can see right there, it's right. And actually, what we'll do here is we'll add more trend line options. So as it creates it, we can click on it. See, there's our trend option. It gives you, enough areas to visually make it more to pop out a little bit. But actually, what we want to do too, in addition to actually looking at the trend line, so we've highlighted it. You can tell. See, you click on and you click off, so you're able to actually calculate it. We want to format this trend line. And see over here, format the trend options. We want to do our R squared on the chart. And actually, just for purposes of forecasting, we'll put this as well. So as you can see, our R squared is 0.3385. What does that mean? What does the R square of 0.3385 mean? What that means is that this linear equation, or this line, tells you 33% of the variation. It shows you that the variation falls, this line gives you 33% of the variation. And actually, because it's a negative slope, it means that there is an inverse relationship. So as we talked about, as it goes from the first rank, number 1 rank is up here. Remember, based on our chart, this is the first, and it's going down to the least ranked. So as it's going down, it means that it is a negative slope. It is a negative relationship. So it makes you actually kind of see that as you go, the cost of living potentially goes up in a way, forecasting wise. So, and with our equation, if you're familiar with it, is, y equals mx plus b. B is this number, the y-intercept, m is the slope. This is our slope. It's a negative slope because it's a negative line. It's not left to right this way. It's going, actually it's going, but yeah, it goes that way. It's going from the upper left down to the lower right. And so why I have this equation as well, just to kind of talk at length at that for a second, is because this will allow you to forecast in a sense. So whatever you want to put for your x being, in this case, rank, whatever you want to be for your y in this case being cost of living. So you can actually, at any point in time, put your coordinates. Say you want to find if this was, the 100 best places to work, or to live rather. You could, 100 for x, and then you could you can guess what y is. It'll calculate it because you're inserting it into this variable, and you're actually creating and just completing the equation and completing the math that goes with it. So with our r squared, it allows us to interpret it with 33% of the variation. And actually, and we'll get into this more as we get along with these chapters, that this at face value doesn't let you understand bias of several kinds. And what usually accompanies any kind of scatter plot analysis, or any analysis, regression or otherwise, is a residual plot. And we'll get into that later, but I just want to give you a sense visually of how to interpret your data, how to create it, and how to create the presentation of it, and also how to create your R squared. And so as you can see from here, you'll have, it's a negative slope. So it's not a very, it's still linear in the sense, but it's a negative slope relationship. And I hope this helps, and just let us know if you have any other questions. Thanks much.